everyone can see my screen. Let me also say happy International Women's Day to all of the women here. And I want to say thank you to all of the men who are on this journey supporting us along the way. So, why news literacy matters is going to be the first session. Why does it matter? This is an area that the Media Institute of the Caribbean has been working very hard on since the year 2015. And we have seen the negative impact of false information and how it affects us, not just from a society perspective, but also as individuals. But why does it matter? And the mere fact that we're talking about critical thinking for journalists means that we realize that the time has come when we have to place a larger responsibility and unfortunately a burden for us to try to ensure that truth is what is being circulated and not fake information. The power of information really means that we are empowering people, and that is going to be lesson 2. So it is not just a matter of knowing the truth, is what do we do with it when we have it? How do we circulate it? How do we make it matter? How do we do something positive for the societies in which we live? And our societies now, and not just Trinidad and Tobago and Belize, we live in a global society. It is boundaryless. And just as there are dangers with the internet, we have to try to also use the internet to our advantage. So the power of information and what we do with it. And then we move into the definition and variations of fake news. And we will have a speaker from Canada with us for that session, lesson 3. Is it true? How do we verify the news? To me, WhatsApp is one of those new platforms that I think does more danger than anything else, especially when you realize that it is very thrilling for our older age groups who have such a thing as WhatsApp, and they tend to spread that information in all forms and they don't check it. So how do we know? How do we check it? How do we understand where it came from? And what do we as individuals do to dispel it and to set the record straight? And then we have what makes news different in lesson 6. What makes a difference? A talk show's news? I can tell you my opinion of that, but we may need another half a day just to get that done. But what makes news different? And we have to be able to decipher what has entertainment value and what has real news value, and what it is that we want to emanate for ourselves and for the places we live in. Who decides what's newsworthy? News started off being one way. The media house, the newsroom, they generated the information, and then that would be filtered down to the audiences, to the population. We don't have that anymore. News now has become a discussion. The audience participates in the news. So then what happens and who really decides what is newsworthy? And we have a lot of information, a lot of feedback that comes now through the social media platforms. And what do we do to funnel that? Lesson 8, fairness and balance. Is it fair? Is it biased? Do we need fairness and balance if we're in a plural society? I guess that is one of the things that will come into the discussion in lesson 8. And then we go to lesson 9, critical thinking. It is so important that critical thinking be developed, not just in our newsrooms, not just with our tertiary level institutions, but more and more you realize that at secondary school level, critical thinking skills become valuable. There was a time when critical thinking was actually part of what you would have as Form 6 in secondary schools. And I noticed that it's now off of our syllabus. And I think that that's something that they should probably reinstate, because what it causes you to do is to ask the right kinds of questions for everything you come across. Lesson 10, identifying and dealing with fake news. So you learn how to verify. Now you're going to be able to quickly identify it, but then what do you do when you identify it? And that will be covered in lesson 10. And of course, the information cycle of fake news. If you want to understand how it got out there, how it became so prevalent, then I think it's very important that we understand the information cycle to know at what point we arrest the information and we lead by example to do something about it.